The cold weather shuffling around the basketball schedule this week, but the Fayetteville Bulldogs remain red hot. We catch up with Bulldogs head coach Brad Stamps. It is Wednesday, January 28th, and this is Varsity Vibe Today. Welcome into Varsity Vibe Today on this Wednesday. School is still out around the area because of all of this winter weather, which I mentioned is shuffling around the basketball schedule. We do know that a lot of schools are going to be playing on Thursday and on Friday back-to-back to try to make up the games that they missed this week. I also know that Bryant and North Little Rock, those games getting rescheduled to February 17th later on in the season because of this winter weather. So again, everyone's just trying to figure out exactly what to do and the best ways to do it and try to make sure all of these games get played, because as I've mentioned earlier in the week, a lot of these games, big games, they've got big conference implications, and so they have to be played. It's just about when they'll get played and really when kids are going back to school, because if you're like me and you have two kids, I'm pretty sure we'd all like them to go back to school by now. But speaking of Fayetteville, they are 6-0 right now in the 6A West, playing some really good basketball. And they've got two games this week that are big. They're going to play Southside on Thursday, and then a big one at home against Bentonville on Friday. I was able to catch up with head coach Brad Stamps to talk about how his team is playing and how they're looking forward to the rest of the season.
I think so. I think, once we started conference play, really feel like our team is starting to turn that corner into the way we have to play to be successful. Not that we weren't doing that in November, December. I just don't think we finished very well late in those games. And once you get into conference play, you've got to play 4 quarters every night. We are 6-0, but by no stretch of the imagination do we feel like we've accomplished anything yet. Or that we've played our best basketball yet. We've had some guys out, Mitch Kirkland, who, started our first however many games in non-conference and then went down in the fourth quarter against Harbor and hadn't played since. So I'm proud of some other guys that have stepped in his absence and have kind of, really helped us win basketball games.
Do you think it was conference play that maybe kind of turned the corner a little bit for the team, and just understanding how important those games are each week, that maybe kind of clicked it up a notch?
Well, 2 things there. Yeah, I do agree with some of that, but I mean, obviously, if you look at our strength of schedule that we were playing in November and December, even if we played our best basketball in those games, you still, you're going to get hit in the mouth, and that's the way we want it to be. We don't want it to be easy. We want to have to figure out how we deal with adversity and how we deal with some things, and that's the reason we schedule like we do. And so I think maybe some of that, but I also feel like, just because we're playing really good teams, and trying to learn how to play while we're playing really good teams. And so now that we're in league play, our rotation is kind of solidified on, who we play and when we play them, as far as our substitutions and those type of things go. And we've had some guys step up that maybe necessarily weren't playing to their, capability in November and December that now are. And so, that gives you a chance every night when your players are playing at the high level.
Yeah, you look at about a month left of the regular season and you say that you think that your best basketball is ahead of you. Maybe what specifically do you think that you can grow in the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. One is just the mindset, Alyssa, is, I've been in this league a long time, and, I keep stressing to our players, and I saw a little bit of it last Thursday against Springdale, that, kids are kids, and they're going to look at records, and they're going to, maybe underestimate their opponent or look at it as, hey, tonight we have, an easy game. And that is all baloney to me. It's, and so we continue to stress that. It doesn't matter for us right now at 6-0. It does not matter who the other team is. It doesn't matter what the record is, who we're playing. It's about us, and about us having just a championship mindset of, if you want to win this league and you want to hang a banner, then you stay at a level. You don't dip.
Yeah.
Because once you dip in this league, you get beat. And then you look back and you say, well, maybe it was our mental preparation. Maybe we weren't mentally ready. And so trying to fight some of that off, maybe, of just being complacent and, of really putting our best foot forward every night we play, I think is important.
You talk about facing adversity. Sometimes that adversity comes in the form of Mother Nature and snow.
Yeah.
And this week
Yeah.
has been that. And so what's it been like to kind of be mentally tough through figuring out how the schedule's going to go? And as we talked about before we really started talking, that you guys are going to have to play back-to-back nights now.
Yeah, for sure. And, today was the first time we've seen our kids since last Friday when we were in school. And so, as a staff, we talked about, hey, look, and I'm not necessarily saying we drop our expectations of what practice looks like today, but just to understand that, the biggest thing is getting a ball in their hands and getting them up and down the floor and, being able to see each other is big and those type of things. And then tomorrow we'll really hit them a lot harder than what we did today. But yeah, you talk about back-to-backs. That's not easy. It's not easy physically, but it's also the mental part of it, of two different completely teams that were playing back-to-back nights with very little preparation for the Friday game, which is a big one at home against Bentonville. And so, we just literally just got through talking to our players about that if you want to win a state championship, then, you're going to have to win back-to-backs, whether it's a quarterfinal, semifinal, or whatever it is on back-to-back days. And so maybe this is kind of preparing us for what's down the road. Hopefully it is. But really, for us, it's let's take care of business Thursday night with our mental prep and, being physically ready. And then Friday morning, we'll do it a little differently than what we usually do on game day, that we'll start a shoot around a little earlier than usual, where we can get some film study before we take the practice floor, before we host a home game. So it's different. I think all of us are going through it in our league. You always look at, hey, what's my opponent doing? Do they have an advantage? Are they getting to practice when we're not? Like, coaches are we're that way. But from what I've talked to in our league, is kind of everybody's dealing with the same thing. And we can't control that, even though we'd like to be able to control that. It's something out of our control. So now it's just, making sure that we get our kids prepped and ready.
Yeah, show up and play when you're needed. Absolutely. And as you mentioned, Bentonville's going to have to do the exact same thing, where they'll play Springdale on Thursday, play you guys on Friday. And I have a feeling you don't got to do much motivation to get your guys excited to play Bentonville.
No, not at all. And it's been that way for a long time in all sports, not just basketball. The rivalry between Bentonville and Fayetteville, the Betterville, and so it's fun. It's exciting. The kids, we should have a really good crowd for that game, I would think. And so, yeah, we're, it's always fun when you get into those games. Kyle Pittington, the head coach, is a former assistant of mine, and, he's in my coaching tree. And so it always brings a different added dimension to it.
Yeah.
He wants to beat me as bad as he can. I want to beat him as bad as we can. So, and then we'll be friends afterwards, but that's kind of the way it goes.
Camryn Schmidt is a winner and part of the state championship team for Northside a season ago. The senior guard and Tulsa signee is leading this year's team in hopes of another state title run.
When it comes to defense, just trying to get the rebound, that every board is mine, and just being communicating out there, who girls has who, and just try to motivate my players and
In her last two games, Schmidt scored 16 points in each and has helped the Lady Bears to their undefeated start in the 6A West.
I just want to be remembered to my girls I want to look up to her and I want to lead by example like her.
Congratulations to Camryn Schmidt, our Lindsey Girls Athlete of the Week, #1 in apartments, golf, and real estate. Well, that is going to do it for Varsity Vibe today on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm your host, Alyssa Orange, and we are here every day to keep you updated and have great conversations with high school athletics around the state. And I just want to remind you guys to enter into our contest. You sign up for the newsletter and you could be in to win a $200 Academy gift card. So go ahead, sign up for that at varsityvibearkansas.com. And that comes to your inbox twice a week. And you might have an opportunity to win yourself a pretty cool gift card. While you're at it, go ahead and follow us on our social media platforms. That is Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. A special thank you to our sponsors. We could not do it without them here at Varsity Vibe. So thank you so much for your support. I'll see you guys tomorrow.